You all know me, still the same OG, but I try to not be low-key, because I've been doing these videos. We've done 12 videos together already. We're heading into the 13th. Starting off with a bang. TSM versus Team World Elite. Wow. Now this is going to be the matchup of the group, because we got both teams on 1-0, 1-0. This is the hyped up matchup for me. This is going to decide which team is going to take first, and that is so important because this is the group without the Korean team, and this is the group where it's a possibility. So if TSM win this one, they might be the Western hope that take themselves to the semifinals and then get destroyed by a Korean team, assuming the Korean teams all get first seed in their group, which seems very likely at this point in time. We have SK Telecom with their 2-0, we got Longzhou with their 2-0, Samsung with a 1-0, and Samsung looking beefy as all hell. I think it's a real possibility. So TSM, they take first in this group. Man, we got the semifinals, we got the EU flame for a year, even longer. I don't know what's happening to Europe, man. Who knows? It's all exciting, you know, and we will all see. When it comes to TSM's draft here, they didn't do the standard thing where they went for Xayah instead of Rakan. It seems like they don't have that much comfort in counter-picking Rakan, and Rakan also is useful with other champions, right? So it's completely understandable. It's not like Taric is the biggest counter to Rakan. It's that later on in the game, the Taric ultimate is quite good against the Rakan's ultimate if you time it at the right time. Secondly here, the main situation here for us is Janna ban forced the Ludo ban, right? Because you don't want to give away that Ardent support. Main thing here about Taric is that he is a very good Ardent user. Compared to Rakan, like sure Rakan can buy Ardent Sensor, but he engages and doesn't necessarily want to always jump back to his AD. It doesn't necessarily always happen. Sure, if you have Xayah, it's a lot easier because of the range. But when you have Tristana, maybe Rakan needs to jump back to something else to make sure his survival is there and make sure of other things. So it's not like he's super heavy Ardent user. Like his Q maybe is hard to coordinate in team fights, while Taric is one of the champions that can apply Ardent Sensor to the most champions in the game, right? He heals around in a circle of himself and another target, and then he applies Ardent Sensor to all these people, has 5 stacks on his heal, and he also has a shield. There's a lot of stuff that Taric can apply Ardent Sensor with. So I'm hoping that we will see more Taric the further we go into this tournament, because I think this is a severely underrated champion. World Elite and TSM are very happy with the jungle swap here. We have of course Galio and Sejuani when Jarvan is out. That is the 2 top tier junglers. I would say Sejuani is slightly higher based off of this tournament. Tristana is the pick into Xayah. This is a matchup we've seen a lot of times, and Doublelift was doing okay on his Tristana yesterday. So why not? It's like I'm never gonna go against the Tristana pick, because there's a lot of reasons why Tristana is a fantastic champion. You know, maybe it doesn't have the strongest lane against Xayah. It can maybe push back a bit and trade a bit, but I think Xayah should be a bit superior here. In the all-in engagements, I think it can go either way as well if we have a 3v3 clash in the bot lane. But I think Xayah should be pushing in here together with the Taric. They should definitely be pushing in. Second wave of bans, we see a Gnar ban targeted at Hanser. You know, no biggie for Hanser. You know, after that game yesterday, you know, I think he exhausted all his Gnar powers. I'm just gonna pull up the curtains here. Alright, good stuff. So the thing is, Gnar is banned, prompts TSM to just pick Cho'Gath. I think that's the beauty of being able to play Gnar and playing Gnar into Cho'Gath, and also being able to play Cho'Gath. There's not a lot of teams that are willing to punish you when you are playing Cho'Gath, and especially World Elite's top laner. He's more of a thonk player. He likes that Shen, he likes that Cho'Gath himself. I like this choice here when Gnar is out, especially. I think even in the case where they didn't ban Gnar, he would have to blind pick Cho'Gath, because I think blind picking Gnar might be a bit too risky. Well, to be honest, maybe it's not risky. Like, what would you counter Gnar with? I think the big one would be Jace, Would be assumed that 957 plays Jace. I highly doubt it. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, I'm not gonna say that I'm some LPL super expert. So ask someone else. Ask Frostcorin or Kelsey Moser. Corki is a pick into Syndra. It's a champion matchup we've seen plenty of times. I think Corki might have a hard time early on in the game, and then he transitions into that Hex Drinker and can do very well in the matchup. So I think it's a fine pick. The beauty of Syndra Blind here is that you know, when you pick Syndra Blind, you can always be useful in the game. Sure, you can have some matchups that are worse than others, but you can always be consistent and useful in the game. The biggest difference is a lot of teams have been picking Ryze blind pick right as their choice. Here Ryze is banned. Ryze blind pick, the biggest issue with him is, sure, he can be fine in mid lane and can always split push, but there's a lot of champions in other lanes that completely demolish him. We could see, like in the Fnatic game, even though Ryze was ahead and strong, playing against Kog'Maw, Taliyah, Jace in a teamfight setting is very difficult for Ryze. He wants to just hit tanks over and over. And with that in mind, I feel like Syndra is a better blind pick because she does better into most kind of champion archetypes that are in the meta right now. So Syndra is the pick. I like it. I think, you know, Cassiopeia and LeBlanc ban here is signaling that, you know, the thing what you have to do on your blue side is you need to set yourself up to be able to blind pick mid convincingly and also blind pick top convincingly, right? Because World Elite get to decide here what they pick first. They need to reveal one. But let's say they reveal top lane and they had to blind pick mid. I think that picking Corki would still be a very viable option here because they banned the Cassiopeia and also when the Ryze is banned. Keep in mind that World Elite is the team that bans second. I mean, they ban first because the red side they ban, and then Team Solo mid ban. So if TSM were in a case where World Elite picked Cho'Gath here, they would have been able to blind pick mid lane as well, and they would have just picked who knows, against Maokai maybe, against Cho'Gath maybe a Maokai or a Shen even. Like a Shen is not that bad with their champions right now. Let's see as we move on. I need to take a sip of my H2O. Alrighty. I'm gonna speed up the game to 125. I don't know why this bar is here. It's kind of annoying, but we will work with it. World Elite sponsored by Monster Energy. TSM sponsored by Gillette. World Elite sponsored by Kid Stuff, and TSM sponsored by Man Stuff. Good stuff. Gillette razors are pretty expensive though. So how this game matches up stylistically, I need to check what summoner Syndra has. I think if she doesn't run cleanse in this one, it might be like, I guess she doesn't have to run cleanse because it's only Rakan, but okay, it's a heal, but there's a cleanse on Bjergsen, meaning he's pretty safe away from that Sejuani and Shen taunt. It's going to be, and also like the Syndra stun. It might be difficult for World Elite to engage on these champions, right? They have Corki with the cleanse and also a Tristana. It's hard, always hard to try to catch a Tristana, but that is going to be the goal for World Elite later on in the game. I think TSM scales better than World Elite here. It all depends on the usage of Tarek's Ardent Sensor, but to be honest, like, he only has one target that can really abuse it, so it's not really that big of a deal, right, for TSM. TSM have the scaling Tristana, the scaling Corki, World Elite have the Shen and the Syndra that kind of fall off. I think Sejuani, her engage also falls off because the later in the game, the less reliable it is when people are starting to get QSS. Sure, she's going to be a meat wall and be useful in tanks, but her engage is going to be less and less reliable. She'll have to come from angles, and maybe she'll have to start the fight by hitting a Cho'Gath, but with the champion picks the World Elite have, it's going to be hard to burn through a Cho'Gath, and a Gragas still have to maybe burn the Syndra ultimate and buy Liandry's, and it's not like they have like a Kog'Maw that is ready and set to go when it comes to killing tanks. Sure, the tanks will die, but it won't be that fast. And I feel like the DPS line of TSM is going to be stronger. The main concern for World Elite later on in the game is going to be the lack of cleanse here for Syndra. She's going to be trying to catch the waves in mid lane, and it's going to be very easy for TSM to just try to engage on her, so she has to kind of play far back, and she won't be able to wave clear completely alone. That's going to be a big question mark here. The main thing here for World Elite is like, how do they use the Shen ultimate? They might have some, I think they'll have priority both in bottom and in mid lane early on in the game. Sejuani needs to create something. Hopefully she'll do something through mid into bottom together with Shen ultimate, and then World Elite can snowball an advantage from there. So World Elite, they need to create something in the early game, while TSM once again have this composition that doesn't necessarily need that much time to come online, because they do have some picks that scale into the mid game very, very hard, like Cho'Gath and Rakan. But the further the game goes on, the better this is going to be. And I think TSM is all about that post-25 minute spike, and I think if they reach that point in the game, the game should be very hard for World Elite. Keep in mind now that World Elite has some ultimates that can turn around team fights big time. You know, the Xayah ultimate and her feathers can always create whack scenarios that can completely win fights, and on top of that, Taric ultimates can also be very, very nice in that regard. But the main thing here with Taric ultimates, sure, it can deny the engage of Rakan, but TSM have a lot of consistent DPS. They're not about that burst. They have a Corki and they have a Tristana. They have a lot of consistent DPS and enough CC here to keep targets in check for a longer period of time. If I would have to choose, I feel like TSM have the better draft here. World Elite, they have to take charge in the early game, and I think it might be a bit difficult here. And it's all about creating something in the early game. And the beauty of Bjergsen and his Corki here is that his package comes online around the time where Shen wants to create something, so it also gives them kind of a gap to pressure into bottom and maybe cause like a lane swap situation, because I think that's something that has gone under the radar in this tournament, where you could use Corki package to get pressure through mid for one wave and then pressure into bottom. Tristana and Rakan can try to get their push during this time while Corki is pressuring in the river, and then all of a sudden you can put yourself in a situation where you can push in and maybe swap and think outside the box a bit. I feel like most bot lanes have been really focused on Ardent Sensor, and there's been a lot of cases where teams just couldn't swap, and that's completely understandable too. Like, swapping and losing something out of it is bad. It's just something that I wanted to point out that we've seen very little of. Keep in mind, Taric is staying in this bush, so is Xayah. They're trying to deny the ward. I don't remember TSM's level 1 from last time, but maybe this is something that they got from the game against Flashfools. This was kind of classic over some time. I remember when it was all about invading the Raptors level 1 and causing problems. Seems like teams have stepped away from that, because invading Raptors, you know, it's like rock, paper, scissors. You know, invading Raptors was a rock, and then standing in this bush here was pretty much paper. And when paper is in the picture and people know about paper, rock loses value. And then people are trying to figure out scissor, and scissor is just standing regularly in positions. That's so funny, you know, every meta, you know, when people figure out some new invade, it always ends up like, after some time, you've gone first full circle, you know, in rock, paper, scissor, maybe lizard and Spock as well. I'm not going to say it's only 3 steps, but eventually, like, when you are screaming and teams are doing a specific invade, and then you have to do the next invade, and then always it ends in the situation where all the teams are just starting standard. They're not starting in some bushes or doing some whack invades. Starting standards is just the most safe thing you could do, and it's funny how every team reaches that conclusion eventually after some time. Alright, so the crab is already getting hit by Svenskeren. Is he going to get it? There's no smite. Ooh, not quite clear, love. Kondi is getting low here, getting tagged by red buff. I don't think Svensken can chase into this. I want to see the position of mid lane. If Corki is pushing and is fine and dandy to support this, it might be good. Svensken is also getting a lot of health back because of his passive here. You can see that his passive is doing work here, definitely. The smite here from Svensken secures him the buff. Very well played from Svensken. I love seeing this. Ooh, Kondi. Ooh, Faxe Kondi. After living in a house, gaming house with 5 Danish people, then, you know, of course, I know about Faxe Kondi. So the main thing here is Kondi is quite behind. He's also losing his golem camp, so in theory, you know, Svensken is 2 camps ahead, which puts him, since these are camps Sejuani wanted to do, it's going to put him 4 camps behind. But the main thing here is that most of these tank junglers here are not the greatest at clearing the jungle camp. So even though Sejuani is behind here, doesn't necessarily mean that Gragas is going to clear all his camps in time and do wonderful things. Svensken does have smite though, so he's going to be quite ahead here and happy with the fact that he's in this position. Kondi had to do a very awkward base. He didn't get his jungle item, and usually that is what you want to base on, right? Kondi just wanted to do his raptors. He tried to go for a greedy play where he went for the crab, and Svensken was just ahead of him, got the crab, and got the better trade in that situation. I think in longer fights Gragas is going to win because Sejuani's passive is just good and useful in the start, right? And Svensken's Gragas passive here is going to scale into the fight, right? Bottom lane seems to be pushed in by World Elite, but World Elite have been missing some CS here. We see 37 and Doublelift is at 35. 35 meaning that he has this big wave here as well, but Doublelift just missed 2 CS. Let's see how he takes the rest of them, because he could be ahead right now in CS. 40 against 42 and 3 that are alive. Good situation for Doublelift. Both ADs have enough money now for BF Sword. Let's see now if they're going to fake a recall. Tristana's just starting base. Let's see if he can get cancelled here by Tarek. Seems like so. Tarek got cancelled. I mean, Tarek cancelled the Tristana. 42 CS is the CS for the BF Sword. Kondi finally managed to base and place his wards up top side. They know now for sure that Svensken is bot side. It's a good timing now for Svensken to try to create some pressure bottom. Sejuani is top side now, but trying to create pressure bottom at this time is perfect because both ADs just want to base and get BF. So right now World Elite are kind of respecting it. They know that Gragas is bottom side with his vision. Well, it looks like World Elite are just aiming for that dive up top. Sejuani pressured in mid as well. Corki had to stay back a bit. They know that Sejuani is mirroring this at the same time. Hard to dive as Cho'Gath though. Very hard. And there we go, we got a full rotation of jungle camps. Still no base on bottom. Now it's going to be a bit reversed because... Well, actually it is in reverse because both junglers need to path into top side. World Elite will spot now the Gragas walking into top unless Gragas is... what's that movie called? Fat Ninja. I think it was spotted here on the pink ward. Zaya sees him. Zaya. Cho'Gath has Feast here. Ooh, good play, good play. So the main thing here is this: they spot Sejuani here, and they could make the assumption that either Sejuani does wolves here and stays around, or she rushes straight here. In the situation, she rushes straight here. Shen has a hard time supporting, would have to ult, and it's very easy here to disengage. I'm assuming the plant is alive and well. Well, on the minimap it doesn't seem to be alive and well. Svensken gets pinged out, but Cho'Gath, they don't know that Cho'Gath is at his red buff. Very good player from TSM. That's the weakness of Shen, right? He always gets pushed in, he doesn't have any pushing capabilities, and the way you beat Shen is you push in Shen. You push in Shen all the time, and Cho'Gath is doing it wonderful, and you play around the Shen. If you're playing in the area that Shen is in, then his ult is not going to be that useful. At the same time, if you're pushing bottom, usually the enemy team can't use Shen that much either. At the highest level of play, what you need to do with Shen is you pretty much want to dive enemies In this case, imagine TSM are pushing bottom. You could see they had the push bottom because they base first on forces Sana. Imagine a situation where World Elite just try to face flat, go into TSM with the Shen ultimate. That is not going to pay out. It's just going to be a bad situation. Doublelift trying to pull off a gank. Maybe you can insect Zai, but he's playing pretty safe. Good vision now for TSM on the bottom side. Very good vision, in fact. TSM have always been good at doing that, invading the first buff rotations, and I think you have to give props to Svenskeren for always doing this properly, or TSM as a whole, because they tend to always execute those things quite well, and it always adds up. Ben is gonna get heavy trade. Tarek is going to be able to heal up here a bit, but not all the HP, so this is going to matter, right? Maybe they can try to go and one-shot the Tarek with the Rakan ultimate. Corki is coming from a bad angle. Corki has a hard time joining this fight, so they're just backing off. Svenskeren with the flash. The main thing here is you shouldn't try to contest this too much because Corki is now stuck in mid lane. You should never try to force this fight when the enemy team has already grouped. You should just give this space up, and you should try to be pushing the bottom wave while the enemy team is grouping here. Corki does not want to be a part of this engagement. Very close, the Svenskeren gets popped there with a good flash in time, but it's an unnecessary flash burns here. Corki obviously didn't have priority, and they should have just given it up. Now it's going to change a bit, right? Because the blue buff of Syndra is faded. It seems like it's the same though, that Syndra is just pushing in the wave. Of course, if Syndra uses all her mana on the wave, she's going to be able to push in, but Corki gets to stay around. Corki is going to base and eventually get packaged, Hex Drinker, and maybe a Phage, or maybe some components for Sheen. I don't think he has enough money for both Sheen and Phage, but he can buy Hex Drinker for sure, and maybe a Ruby Crystal and some boots. Oh, he had a lot of money. My bad. My math is not on point. It annoys me too that I can't see the sports items, but I will have to figure this out somehow. I really don't know how to do this. Oh, cool. There we go. Alright, I need to take a step back. I didn't see what happened. Kondi in the bot lane. He has jungle camps to clear. Svenskeren is a bit ahead on tempo now because he walks out of base already with the Cinderhulk ready, and Kondi needs to clear a bit before ganking bottom is kind of hard. At this point in time, it's very important that, you know, when you're completely blind and you don't know where the enemy jungler is, don't make any harsh decisions without your jungler. Bjergsen are now playing together with Svenskeren, which is good, right? Because they have the package, but Zai gets a good trade. Is this where we see the Sejuani ult? I guess so. Doesn't land. It's a good attempt, right? Svenskeren doesn't have flash, and they could potentially just one-shot him with the Morello of Syndra. Corki package wasn't used for anything wild, except some bottom river control. It's a very positive thing here for World Elite. I mean, for TSM, that Shen ultimate is not being used, and Cho'Gath is just scaling away, and the Shen is not accomplishing anything. So the main thing here for World Elite is that the moment this package runs out, they need to be the one winning the situations here. TSM's bot lane are doing a great job though in the bot lane, where Doublelift is heavily out CSing Mystic, and he's also managing to push the wave in a matchup that I thought Saya would push. Now Doublelift is doing a great job eating the wave and maintaining the push. Doublelift is starting to run out of mana though, so maybe this is going to shift. But basing and getting mana also works. The main play for World Elite is still try to get priority through mid and then just create a situation where they can dive in bottom. But now the game has gone on for so long that Cho'Gath now has kept his TP and can always respond. Obviously Shen ultimate is better than TP because you get thrown in the mix and it's faster, but it's still a decent enough response to maybe not respect Shen ultimate just as much. But what it all comes down to is who gets mid priority. The person who gets mid priority can cut off the other mid laner and then transition that into one side lane, and I'm hoping it's going to be bottom lane. But as long as the game goes on like this, then TSM are going to be very, very happy. They are pushing bottom, and Corki is scaling away. He's going to be at Trinity for us soon. We've seen a lot of games at this tournament where there's just been lane phases for a very long time, very stale, and nothing is just happening. That's why I'm considering if picking Maokai is just better than Shen here in general, because the game has been pretty stale. Well, I need to drink some of my tea here. I have a sore throat from all the talking. I'm feeling like I have a cold. Let's take a look now. Ben is supporting this and Xayah is also supporting this all the way. The main thing here is that while TSM are playing as 3, World Elite is playing as 4. Xayah is going to support this just in time. This could be a situation where... Oh, Sven's got no flash. He flashed before. Dive is coming in. Ooh. Alright. Quite disrespectful here. So this is a situation right now where waiting here for Tristana to create a good situation is very good. Because World Elite base second, right? That means that they pushed in the wave and Tristana needs to go catch. While Tristana is catching here, they need to respect the possibility that Xayah might be here. And they shouldn't be, like, after they face check this bush and they spotted the enemies here, Corki has priority, right? Which is okay and fine. But right now Tristana is pushing the bottom wave, which is the biggest indicator that they should just chill it out here and wait for Tristana to push. No one is contesting it at all, and they got mid priority too, so World Elite have no play here. The only thing they have is that they have control over the river for some time, but the moment someone goes down to take the wave in bottom, they can retake it. So just with some patience here, this play is going to end up so much better. Tristana was in bottom and you know, once again, World Elite base second, they pushed in the wave, Tristana had to catch, and then they can walk with their entire bot lane armada here through. Even in this case, I'm considering if it was just better for Doublelift to hit the bottom tower. Also with the flash. He could meet Corki here, but I don't know if it's good enough. Hauntzer is kind of deep. No plan for him. Oh, works out just fine. Ben still doesn't have ultimate from the prior engagement. Ardent Sensor is up for both. Doublelift. Oh. Well timed ultimate there, because might have been the case that there was a shot would finish him there. Maybe Tristana could have made the more aggressive play there and flash auto ult and then he would have died, but it didn't go for it. Maybe Tarek had a heal up or maybe he had a shield up and maybe it would have been really, really bad. At least the trade bottom gives them the Mountain Drake, which is a good constellation prize. Very similar scenario to what we saw before. Tristana is in base now and World Elite is completely grouped now as 4. Seems like they're just killing the crab and walking bottom again. Nothing too fancy. It's also like very evident that lane positioning is also very important. Whoever gets to hit the wave first, and if Xayah gets to walk up and line up the creeps for her spells, then she can kill them very, very fast. Double started hitting the waves here second. Gragas is in position, there's no Rakan ultimate. Oh, actually it was on cooldown, my bad. Main thing here is they don't want to commit to any play here. Very good that, even though this might look juicy here for YamatoCannon, you know, knowing that Corki is committing to this play top side, and they know that Sejuani is here, it's good to not force anything bottom. It's a good decision to not force anything bottom. Maybe, you know, maybe in a world where they committed on Xayah and they could one-shot her, Shen has no ultimate, maybe that would be the case, you know, but it's better to not take the risk in most cases where your mid laner is making a play on top. You don't need to create anything bottom, you just need to survive on bottom. If the enemy team gets nothing bottom, you're in a very good situation because you just picked up a turret top lane and you don't need to force anything. So right now World Elite are on a timer. Corki was up top side and they need to create something bottom, but Tristana just cleared the wave in time, and TSM are in no danger here. Corki is back mid and gets priority while Syndra spent time doing red buff, so TSM played this very, very well. No counterplay for World Elite. There's always a decision you need to take, right? If Corki is committing top, then in theory you are 4v3 on the bottom side, and sure, Shen has ultimate and Cho'Gath has TP, right? But 4v3 or 5v4, however you want to see it, the goal for World Elite is to make some counterplay, and there was no wave bottom. TSM cleared it in time, and the Bjergsen, like YamatoCannon, was also in position, worst case scenario, if they try to dive, and that makes it very difficult for World Elite to counterplay. The other play would be to make the defensive play into top side, but it seems like World Elite just weren't in the position at the time. I'm not too sure if I'm a fan of these Merc threads here on Syndra. I don't sure, they're good against Rakan, you know, maybe you can dodge the jump because of it, but is it going to make you live? Maybe, I don't know. I still find it strange that you wouldn't run cleanse here. I think if you run cleanse, there's very little chance that you die. Maybe Mercs and heal is enough to get out of Rakan W. I'm not too sure. But I'm a big fan of cleanse. I love cleanse. I think anyone who's been watching these videos knows that I love cleanse. Especially in the current meta. I love my cleanse, man. I want to take a step back here. I was talking about cleanse and TSM. So Doublelift is wants to base now. Right now when the wave is coming. YamatoCannon got chunked, alright. Yeah, YamatoCannon just got chunked and World Elite just went bottom as 3 on top of this. They're predicting the play and just going for Rift Herald, and it just turns into a trade. No, I think it's a good play from both teams. They're recognizing that Gragas got chunked, Sejuani went bottom side, Doublelift uses boot trinket to spot Sejuani out, and TSM just goes straight for the Rift Herald because they know Sejuani is bottom side. I think this is great play from both teams, considering the situation, right? YamatoCannon got chunked, Sejuani wants to capitalize, goes bottom straight and gets a bottom tower. Lovely play from both teams. Cooking out with 24th finish BF. TSM once again, they're so happy with the fact that the game is going so slow. Shen has gotten absolutely nothing. You know, he's gotten 1 assist with his ultimate. I don't think it's enough. The pressure hasn't really mattered anything either. And World Elite, if they just continue like this, then I think they might have a harder time in late game. They have some redeeming qualities though, like Xayah is still strong late game, and so is the Taric ultimate. If that's used in a very good fashion, then it can be good. But World Elite still have a window here where they are very strong. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Firefrost just hit nothing with his engage. Good Taric ultimate. YamatoCannon should be dead here. Alright. Wow. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I want to take a step back and take a look at that. TSM, of course, as I mentioned before, they are very strong post 25 minutes. They are strong at 30-minute mark, and World Elite are by no means out of the game yet. We have this situation. Syndra comes first to this engagement. We see some trades. Heal gets used. The biggest issue here is that World Elite is more grouped than TSM. TSM has their players here, and even though Bjergsen contested the priority here first, World Elite had priority from top side. You can see the wave was pushed in, and they just went into river first. Big issue here is that, you know, when TSM decide to engage here, we can take a look at what Rakan does. He hits absolutely nothing. He ults and hits absolutely nothing. Big issue. If you want to commit to something like this, you need to one-shot people. But on top of that, committing to this fight is usually a bad idea because, you know, being the one engaging against World Elite, you know, it's hard to one-shot someone before the Taric ult comes in because of Shen ultimate. If you commit all your resources and you aren't a full team on someone just to try to one-shot someone and then get out, then, you know, Shen ultimate is there, Taric ultimate is there. It's going to be a very hard thing to do. On top of that, you know, World Elite had priority into river. Corki sure could support this if TSM would be winning this fight, but Bifrost just misses his W with his ultimate and does absolutely nothing. At the same time, you know, you could see Doublelift, he W'd into this, and this circle here is Rakan's W with ultimate, which is really not good. But at the same time, I think this is an unnecessary risk. They lost this river control because of the wave up top. World Elite were here first. Very hard to one-shot someone. Svenskeren is the casualty, just like always. His sacrificial lamb. But Rakan also died here. Doesn't mean that World Elite can do Nash. I'm not too sure. Corki has blue buff and a lot of rockets to fire here. So I'm just going to walk straight up top. I think it would be too risky at this point in time. Sejuani doesn't have any armor either. Getting a top tower is also a very good price to take away from this. Shen still didn't ult, so he has that just in case. Bottom taking top tower is just as good. Whoa! Whoa, Bjergsen! Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Corki is reaching breaking point. You know, if we have these games where Corki, where the lane phase is extended for a very long time, Corki loves these type of games, and we've seen a lot of these at Worlds. Riftel is not gonna pay diligence from before. Enemy team got bot tower for this, but breaking mid lane is so important, especially when Nashor is going to be the name of the game. Breaking mid lane is super important. Breaking mid lane tower just allows you to get so much deeper into the enemy jungle. A second mountain drake here for TSM, if they manage to grab it here because of Syndra's death, would be amazing too. Double mountain. Lets you kill Nashor very fast. TSM don't have like the greatest Nash team. Sure, like they have double AD and they have Cho'Gath, but with this mountain drake it's going to become very easy for them to do crazy things. We have kind of a mixed lane assignment here. Bjergsen has package up top, so he can trade away without too much risk here against two people. Tristana is in base, and she is running straight to red buff here. Corki is doing everything he can to actually defend the tower that I thought World Elite would just kill. It's very low HP. You can see it's like a empty glass over there on top left. So the thing for World Elite now is they need to just play around their priorities and keep Syndra in mid. I think the way Corki can play it either way, right? Corki can go against Syndra, and World Elite like Doublelift and Bifrost can also go against Syndra. It's easy for them to catch the Syndra, but I feel like the lane assignment where they have Corki against Syndra is just better, because there's still this potential that Syndra one-shots someone either Tristana or Rakan, because of the lack of like if Bifrost just doesn't land his W or something and doesn't get his keystone activated, then he's just gonna get one shot, right? So as long as that's the case, I'm not too sure if it's the correct decision to send their bot lane into mid. I feel like keeping Corki into mid after what we saw, what he could do, I think that's definitely the right decision. Keep Corki in mid and then just put Tristana on side. Play 3 through mid if you want to, or just play 3 through side. I prefer the situation where you play 3 through mid. Bjergsen would basically take over the AD role at this point in time. It's very hard to kill him because of the cleanse. I think World Elite are just gonna get the top tower here. Good engage now. Punish the Xayah up top. Very, very greedy from World Elite to be even in this situation. Shen ultimate got cancelled by Cho'Gath Q, as it seems. And, you know, in this situation, Bifrost can apply Arden Senses to everyone. TP from Cho'Gath. He has Feast ready. Should be impossible to steal here for Kondi. Alright, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Big mistake from World Elite. Big mistake. So right now they are committing to the decision where they are split up. Xayah is taking top tower. They should not contest river. Should not contest river at all. Rakan does a snap decision. This kind of reminds me of Smoothie here. The engages he did on whatever team Cloud9 played against in the play-ins. And this was a beautiful engage. He got the right people, and World Elite did a massive mistake here. Mystic is taking top tower for free. Well, not for free, because what he's giving up here is TSM. TSM are getting the river control, and maybe they can chase Xayah out. Maybe they can potentially kill her if she overstays. But the main thing here is that World Elite should just stay on the back foot and just wait for Xayah to group, because she's going to push in this wave. Someone for TSM is going to have to catch this, because there's a lot of CS that are going to be lost if no one takes it, and then Mystic just is going to group, and then they're going to be the team with the 4 people, and TSM are the ones that are going to be 1-3, and TSM are going to be on the back foot. So extreme lack of patience here from World Elite, and good snap judgment from TSM. Lands in the Nashor. It could be the game. Like, I feel like they have the strong, better scaling composition here, and having Nashor is a very big deal here. I wonder if this is Infinity Edge ready for Corki. He's charging up his base. Infinity Edge ready for Corki. He's going to do massive amount of damage. Crazy amount of damage. He's also going to have level 16. So level 16 is also a big breaking point for Corki, right? Because his rockets are going to do insane amount of damage. TSM have been very, very impressive this year. I think in the 2 games that they've showed so far, this is, you know, winning this game against World Elite is so important too, because you gotta have first. Like, if you want to have semis this Worlds, you have to get first place. And to be honest, a lot of second seeds in a lot of groups haven't looked too impressive. I think Immortals is the one that has looked the most impressive, and TSM wouldn't be able to play that one coming into the first. Can they play that? Can they play Immortals in quarters? I don't think it's possible, right? They have to. They have to play someone else. Someone correct me, please. Can TSM face Immortals if the Immortals get second and TSM get first? I don't think so. I think you can't face the team from your same region. All right, we continue. Hanzo no TP now, so he's just grouping up with his team. It's very hard now for World Elite to just engage onto TSM. They have the Corki with the cleanse. Like, he's not gonna die once this game. Like, they need to just try to look for some picks. That's the way they win. And if they get like a high value Taric ultimate, then maybe they can win a fight. Taric ultimate is such a strange thing that if it gives you a lot of value, it could theoretically, if everyone is just hitting at the same time and using all the spells at the same time, then Taric ultimate can be like a thing of beauty, right? And Zaya also is like like 600 gold ahead here of double lift, so Zaya can still create situations that might be crazy. So we shouldn't count out World Elite just yet. But World Elite would need like some beautiful stuns, some insane Taric ultimates, some insane crit RNG as well, and then maybe World Elite can come back into this. Jackson just testing some limits. 3 people committing to top side allows TSM to just rotate into bottom here. World Elite tried to get a pick on Corki, didn't pan out. By the looks of it, TSM going to have to wait for the next Nasher to completely break World Elite's base. They're happy to wait though, because the moment this Tristana reaches Last Whisper and we maybe get a Void Staff on Corki, then it's going to look great. Most Corki builds we've seen this tournament though are going to go for like Static Shiv this time around, like after this item, to reach 80% crit, and Static Shiv also synergizes well with the spell penetration. But I'm a big fan. I'm such a big fan of Void Staff on Corki. It's crazy how efficient it is as an item. But we will see. We will see. Hanzo TAP is coming back up, so he can just stay here in the bot lane. He has enough vision because TSM did rotate from mid lane into bottom and went past his jungle and put a lot of wards. It's going to be very hard for World Elite to just kill Cho'Gath here with 2 as Sejuani and Shen. I don't know what kind of jungler would be able to kill Cho'Gath, maybe like a Kha'Zix, but even that is a hard thing to do. As long as TSM play here with the fact that they will have priority in the lane that Corki goes to, and the fact that Cho'Gath is pushing in bottom, they should be able to set up a very clean Nash. I love the fact that World Elite are trying to make sure that they keep control over their own jungle, because that's the way they get into the Nash pit area. Because this is usually the space right here, the space to get a clean and free Nasher. You want to take control over this space, right? This space as the blue side team, you want to make sure that these are dead zones and these are things that the enemy team need to face check. You could still, you know, if you reach a point where you are very strong and the enemy team are just standing here and they still have to face check here and face check here, it can in some cases still be a fine enough scenario where you can still do Nasher. Because the main thing, a lot of mistakes that some mistakes that a lot of teams do is, if we can take a look at the minimap here, they push the mid wave, they have priority, right? Then the mid wave will flow here into here, and then they just walk straight to Nash, put pink on Nash, and that's it. Like they put pink wards around Nasher, they don't contest this quadrant here at all. This space is not contested at all, and the enemy team can just walk around here freely, put their defensive pink wards, and play the stalling game, play the I'm gonna try to pick you off game for a very long time. And it's respectable here what World Elite is trying to do. They're just chilling in the pink ward and defending it, recognizing that they can't get mid priority. I think there are some cases where they can get mid priority though. I think maybe they are just over-respecting it a little bit. At this point in time, though, Syndra is basing, right? They shouldn't try to get mid priority. It's completely fine. You don't want to be where the Corki is, pretty much at this point. Oh, TSM is just going to commit to this top side push. They have a big wave going on for them. Haunter caught the wave in mid, so he's in position. He rotated from bottom into mid. Very well done. There's no equalizing play here for World Elite. Main thing here is World Elite are in a better position to go to Nasher. TSM need to kind of group up here on river. Hanzo needs to kind of group up here in this area next to Crab. Kondi is kind of deep. Maybe he is caught here. We have the Shen ultimate on Syndra, not too fancy, right? But Doublelift got a bit chunked from that one auto from Rapid Fire Cannon. That is the beauty of Rapid Fire Cannon and crit, right? You could just get autoed once and then all of a sudden you're half HP, and even though you are the stronger scaling carry, doesn't necessarily mean that you can get critted and killed instantly. There's a lot of bursts on the World Elite side, right? So maybe in some cases, you know, what they need to look for here is to make sure that they one-shot a carry. And Doublelift right now doesn't have any MR to work with. So if Mystic autos runs with Rapid Fire and Zai just ults, that is going to be a lot of damage. Mystic gets critted on. This is the city of crits here. Like Rapid Fire Cannon crit on Mystic did a lot of damage. We can see the Taric ultimate is also going down. Zai gets killed before he uses ultimate. Very clutch play, and this is where the problem comes in with the lack of cleanse, right? Doesn't take a lot of time for TSM to just kill. It doesn't take a lot of time to kill Syndra, and the Mercs is not going to save you from anything, and that should be game. That should definitely be game. Very beautifully played here from Bifrost. I think it was redeeming from his engage up top side. Bifrost lashed on to Syndra and did beautiful things to him. We were talking about how it's important for World Elite to one-shot someone in a fight. In the longer fight, TSM are definitely going to win because of Corki and Doublelift. But it was also funny to see how Rapid Fire Cannon interacted here, and it was all about getting them crits off, because we saw Mystic getting crit once by Corki, and it did like 1000 damage, and it was crazy to see, because it was, you know, he had to insta ult and Taric just snap ulted, and Taric's ultimate didn't give a lot of value, you know, like it's hard to get a lot of good value from Taric's ultimate when you're playing against a team like Corki and Tristana, because they are not about that burst, they're about that, you know, sustained damage, and denying sustained damage is always going to be difficult. TSM played a very beautiful game. I think Hanzo, once again, you know, I think he played very, very well. He was all over the place across the board. I think Bjergsen is definitely the MVP of this one. He had full control of the mid lane. There was no point in time where I felt like World Elite could have created something through mid, and that is so important, you know, that is so important for them. If they want to use the Shen somehow, they need to pressure into bottom. Also very impressive that this TSM bot lane managed to have priority in bot lane. They managed to have priority in bot lane for a very long time, and they played very respectfully when World Elite could actually make a play on bottom, when Gragas got chunked, and Gragas went for the Rift Herald play, while World Elite were just in bottom with 3. I think in general it was a very, very competitive game. The nail in the coffin for World Elite was when Mystic was playing topside, taking the top tower for free, while TSM was very grouped. They eventually, World Elite would get priority if they just waited. They would have gotten river pressure if they just waited. TSM would have to catch top wave or lose a lot of CS, and then, you know, it would have been a better situation. But the World Elite face checked into TSM, got engaged on by Bifrost, BioDaddy, and Bifrost seized the day. So across the board, I think TSM performed very well. I think Svensken also played very good in this game. He had control over Kondi. Kondi is regarded as the best jungler at this tournament by many, and I think Svensken had a very good performance in the early game, and he had this situation where he got caught, but that was like team decisions. That was mainly team decisions, and it was like they contested at wrong times. For example, that fight in top when he died, it was a commitment from Bifrost and Doublelift. They were all jumping over the wall and they were trying to get in there, and they missed their abilities, and it was hard to fight there because World Elite already had priority. And also, like in bot side river, when Tristana was catching the bot wave and World Elite were grouping up, it was also a situation where TSM made the decision together. So I think Svensken's performance definitely deserves a gold star as well. TSM, very impressive. TSM is definitely like the Western hope. I'm hoping, like, if anything, G2, I'm hoping they can show more than their first game, because it was against Samsung, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, very, very fun game. This, to me, was one of the most fun games here at the tournament. let's see what the rest of the day has to offer. Thank you very much. Boom.